Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Saturday, May 16th. This is the weekend edition, so we're going to look at the market action of the last 2 days, as well as some of the weekly charts on the indices, and a little more in-depth on the ETFs. Stocks today are going to be some mining stocks. We're going to look at Goldcorp, Freeport-McMoran, Newmont Mining, and Sliver Wheaton. Okay, start off here with the Dow Industrials. So you see that the Dow was up 20 points yesterday, up about 190 on Thursday. So we kind of stair-stepped up here a little bit over the last week and a half. We're getting a little bit of divergence on this last move on only one out of the three indicators, though. Not on the RSI yet, not on the demand, but on the DI minus and DI plus, we're getting divergence in here. So it's going to be interesting. We're getting to the top of the range. We'll look at that on the SPX. It's going to be a little bit, where are we? Yeah, there we go. I don't know why it wasn't in the middle. Now, a little more of a doji bar here for the SPX. Very compressed. I need to take a look at that. Okay, yeah, so I just did a quick check, and this is the most compressed day in terms of high to low trading range. See how small it is? Since this day right back here, February 23rd. This range was 7.05. The range yesterday was 7.1 points on the SPX. Now, there was another tight one back in here. There's a little tighter than either one of these, and that was right here on December 24th. Notice the positioning of both of these, how close they are right near the peaks, near the top of the calendar channel, kind of near the top here, but again, had 2 more days, slightly up, then huge rollover. Had a couple, one more up day, then kind of sideways down and up in here, and then we rolled over hard. So here we are at the top of the range again, and again, it's like, okay, we talked about 220 as the top of the range, kind of ballparking really. You could say 220 to 225 really in this zone. And we'll see. I mean, we're getting this little doji bar. It's hardly a bullish, euphoric type bar to be getting excited about. I mean, we had this one here. Look what happened after last Friday. So we'll see. Right now, we've got this very compressed bar. And again, I've always talked about, compression, and expansion just cycle back and forth, back and forth. All right, let's go to the NASDAQ. Again, the NASDAQ. Now, I haven't checked on the NASDAQ in terms of compression. I kind of like looking at the SP 500. It seems like the NASDAQ gets a lot of small little doji bars for whatever reason. And, I'm kind of sticking with this pattern here. This ending diagonal wedge, still pretty clear. It looks like it's broke down. Looks like it's pulling back up. I mean, we'll see whether this is the classic, kiss goodbye, coming back up to the trend line, kissing it goodbye, and then rolling back over or not. And let's see, the New York Composite. We'll come back to that in a minute. So, again, the S&P 500 closing at all-time high. The New York Composite's closing at all-time high up in here. Marginally, getting marginal gains, and we'll see whether or not we're going to get any follow through on this or not. It's struggling to punch through up in here. The last one is the Russell 2000 we'll look at, and again, this is a little kind of a doji bar right in here, almost a hanging man type thing, candlestick on Friday's action. Now we've got, this is where, the 10 has been below the 21 for a little while. Now we've got the 21 breaking below the 55 slightly. So we'll see whether or not this will continue to roll back over or not. This almost looks like a little bit of a, like a bearish pennant type of consolidation activity going on here on the Russell 2000. Pennant slash flag. I mean, it's maybe a little bit more like a flag. Pennants kind of get a little pointed. All right, let's take a look at the weekly action. Dow weekly here. you know, sold off, rallied back, up 81 points for the week. So pushed a little bit higher. Still in this wedgie type action. Still getting a lot of divergence in here, although this came up a little bit higher, but we still haven't, although this inched a little bit above the highs in here, you know, it didn't on the RSI, at least not yet. And the same thing with the demand index. I mean, this has not gotten higher in here. Okay, the S&P 5, the weekly S&P 500 weekly, similar type look. Again, we still got a little bit of this congestion action. It's almost like it's going sideways ever since February 20th. So, you know, almost the last 3 months. The NASDAQ weekly, similar type scenario. Again, they're still above the 10-week moving average. Same thing on the New York Composite. You know, getting tighter in here. And this looks like the tightest weekly actions in about 5-6 weeks, tightest range. And, you know, that was the other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm going to talk about this in my post. So if you guys have read the post already, then you probably read about this, but if you haven't, I'll be talking about this. Let's look at the S&P 500, or let me go to the Dow weekly, actually. And when you look at the ADX on the Dow, okay, see where it is right down here? I put a line at 10. It's at 10 on the ADX. And I've talked about how when you have a low ADX, a lot of times it's a prelude to, you know, it means there's trendless action going on. And boy, we've had trendless action. This is, you know, just push sideways, no strong trending action going on. A lot of times it's a prelude to a big move coming, okay? So the fact that, you know, we've pushed and had this move higher, it does make me, you know, that's why I'm so suspicious of where's the next big move really going to go and where is it going to come from. And, you know, I'm suspicious that because I think we're in this fifth wave that the next big move is going to be coming down. And the article I referenced that talks about a longer term study where these guys did this analysis of the ADX on the stock market, that's kind of the conclusion they come to too. So I found that was kind of interesting. I came across that this morning, so I wanted to pass that on to you folks. All right, so we talked about the weekly. Let's go to the New York. I'm not sure I looked at the NASDAQ weekly. I think I looked at the New York weekly. Yeah, let's go back. Russell 2000 weekly is the next one we'll take a look at. There we go. Fortunately, I found that. Okay, and again, I left this long-term trend line in here, and it just keeps hugging the underbelly of this trend line and has pulled away here over the last, you know, 3 weeks. You know, we haven't, you know, we're down below the weekly, closed back above the 10-week moving average in here right now. So, kind of hard to tell. Looks like he wanted to break down. This could be just nothing more than a couple of weeks of sideways move in here right now. All right, now let's take a look at our indicators. Short-term trading index. Okay, the short-term, the 10-day moving average is at 1.027. So we've pulled back up here into the little more into the neutral zone and pulled away from that peak reading that we had on May 4th actually. And the next one is the VIX. Okay, so the VIX dropped down as you would expect. The market, especially the last 2 days, it closed at 12.36, is it? 12.38. Yeah, 12.38. So we pulled back down a little bit in here. You know, we still think we broke this trend line. We could be putting in some kind of a bottom. Almost looks like a little bit of a head and shoulders. Could be some kind of bottom in here. You know, maybe, yeah, it's hard to try to look to see if we had anything similar to that. Scanning back. You know, nothing's really jumping out at me a whole lot, so we'll just have to watch and see. And the indicators here, you know, broke this little trend line in here on the RSI. So we could be in for a little bit of consolidation here. And again, it never did get really oversold. All right, the next one is the high-low. Okay, so the high-low jumped up on Thursday with the big move, but it didn't get very, not very strong, 79, and just gone sideways. So no change. Same number of new highs minus new lows, 79 net new highs on each of the last 2 days. So again, not a whole lot of strength. I mean, here's the zero line, okay, and so here's where we've been in ever since back in late March, last month and a half. And the next thing is the McClellan oscillator. Okay, so here you can see the McClellan oscillator jumping back again. It's getting slightly positive. But again, it's at a point that is lower than this point here on April 23rd, lower than this point on April 15th, and lower than the peak on April 6th. So a series of lower highs in here. And, you've got the market kind of trying to push, although it's not strong, but it's definitely not being confirmed, in my opinion, by the McClellan oscillator. And the last one, I just want to mention is the put to call ratio. The 10-day put to call ratio on equities, so that's stocks only, is 0.62. So we're not at an extreme on that yet either. Now, the other thing I want to point out is just having to look back. The previous peaks on the market back in February and November, here recent peaks, the put to call only got down to like 0.57, 0.58. So we're not that far away from we have a couple of bullish days, so we'll see. Okay, let's take a look at the high yield bond fund. Okay, so on Wednesday, this pulled right back down to this week actually. Here's last Friday. And then what happened? It came back down right to the neckline, to this trend line. I really, really thought this was going to break the trend line, especially with the price action on Wednesday. And then what does it do Thursday, Friday with this the way the market's rallied last 2 days? It pulls back up a little bit. So we'll see what happens in here, looking at the volume in this. So Friday, get some pretty decent volume coming into HYG. It's back above 50 on the RSI. And this isn't really telling us a whole heck of a lot. All right, let's take a look at TLT. Okay, 20-plus year Treasury bond ETF. All right, big update on Friday. So long-term interest rates dropped on Friday because the bonds go up, the interest rates are going down. They're inverse relationship. So had a little bit of a rally here, and we'll see whether or not we're bottoming. I think we've got a little divergence going on. We do on RSI. I remember seeing that. So we could be in for a little bit of a short-term rally. Not seeing it on the DI minus, but we are seeing it on demand. So 2 out of the 3 indicators I'm watching show a divergence in here, a bullish divergence. So we could get a pop, maybe back up to the 21-day. We'll see. I don't know how much stronger that's going to be. And the next one is the dollar index we'll take a look at. And there we go. And the dollar is continuing to push down. We might have like 1, 2, 3, have a A, B, C, 4, working a 5th. That's my interpretation of what's going on. This green line I drew in here, I'm estimating this based on Fibonacci retracement, thinking that this might be a short-term target for us. So that's what I'm going to be watching to see if the dollar pulls down into here or not. I thought it might stop with this congestion in here, but it clearly has continued to pull down a little bit more than that. So that's what's going on with the dollar, and we'll take a look at US oil. Okay, so USO jumped a little bit on, no, actually it was down 0.01. So practically unchanged. It's just that it opened down and then rallied back for the rest of the day. So pretty much in bull mode after the opening sell-off and came back up. Well, we'll see. It still looks like it's fighting this congestion at the top of the range, probably because this congestion right in here. So we'll see whether or not, given what's going on with the dollar and that type of thing, what this is able to pull together. The last thing we'll take a look at is gold. And I'm wondering if there we go, Spider Gold shares. All right, so I've gone back to my original interpretation of this, which is that we've had 5 major waves down. That's pretty clear to me. And especially given we got this triangle right in here. Triangles almost always occur in the 4th wave of a 5-wave impulse move. They occur in the 4th wave. So once you see that, it's almost guaranteed. Well, it is guaranteed. You're in the 4th wave. Okay, and so then we had a clear 5-wave move down out of that, and that's why this, to me, completes 5 intermediate waves. I'm calling it wave A, okay, because had a big bull move up in gold that, took us all the way up, almost 1900 or whatever it was here on GLD. So right now, I'm thinking this is, the 5 waves is either wave 1 in a new impulsive wave direction, or it's wave A in a zigzag. So I'm calling it wave A in a correction of a zigzag, which then would mean that you're going to have a wave B, which is going to be a counter trend. So the real question is how far is that going to go? And that's being confirmed by we got a 3-wave in here. And again, 3 waves are always corrective type waves. So now I'm calling this A, B, and we're working a C, which should be in a rally mode, should go well beyond this A peak as far as I could tell. And based on the wave count, that's what should happen. So right now, that's what's playing out. And so this is turning and breaking above this trend line here. Looks pretty nice, looks pretty bullish on a weekly basis. Had a nice big move in here, up 3.56 on the GLD for the week. And I think that's right. I assume that when it goes to, yeah, that's right. That's right. So almost 4 points on GLD for the week. So let me go back to the daily. So that's looking pretty bullish on GLD, which is why I'm kind of looking at some of these gold stocks today. All right, let's take a look at semiconductor. Okay, SMH, I left this trend line in here, and clearly it tried to break it here, did not pull back down. It looks like maybe it broke it here now, but what it's running into is this peak here, I think. It's a little bit of resistance trying to get through this now. So the real question is going to be, is this going to start chopping sideways, or are we going to get a continuation and move to the high side? It's hard to tell, but I mean, that's all you can do is just kind of look to see where support and resistance are going to be coming in. Let's take a look at the home build. Okay, XHB had a nice couple of moves, day move in here. And of course, if the interest rates are dropping, long-term interest rates dropping, that's bullish for home builders. And you had a nice move on Friday in conjunction with what was going on with the long-term interest rates. So you could see this is kind of turning, except the intermediate trend is still down. That could just be a short-term, little move because of this sell-off here. Long-term is still bullish, and the short-term is now starting to break back above. So this will be interesting to watch to see, do we get some kind of turn back up again? Are we going to head back up to try to challenge the previous high peak that we had up here at 37.31? Let's look at the XLF. Now here's another one that broke a trend line, a little bit longer term trend line on XLF, and broke this out on that Friday move with after the jobs report, but then it stopped, and it stopped right up here at these previous highs, intraday highs. And it seems to have had a little difficulty trying to punch up through that. Thursday, it tried to do that, looked like it was closing back, and then we come right back on down on Friday. So we'll continue to watch to see whether we get a continuation and get a close back above these two the highs, intraday highs. Let's take a look at biotech. Okay, the NASDAQ biotech for the week, I mean, here's the 8th. Kind of marginally just pushed up slightly for the week, chopping here. Doji bar on Friday, this could be, I mean, again, Doji, what is that? Indecision, pause, indecision type of action, reflecting that type of sentiment. So let's take a look at the indicators. Not getting anything. We've still got DI minus, greater than DI plus. Demand index just went slightly positive. And let's look at the volume. It's interesting. It looks like the volume has dropped off, especially, since this low right here. You could just draw a line across the volume here, and that doesn't look too positive. I mean, so it looks like a counter trend type move on declining volume, which is not bullish to me. All right, the last one in terms of ETF is the energy. If I can get my hands on it. There we go, energy select sector. Okay, so remember USO was up here and kind of, you know, with this congestion. The energy stocks have pulled back a little bit more. And so it's really interesting. The short-term trend line, the 10 is broken below the 21, like it did over here, which led to more of a sell-off. And even with the 21 breaking above the 55. This is why sometimes you can see that the longer term trend, here's the 233 and here's the 55. So the long-term trend lines, it's negative, all right, bearish. But then the intermediate turned positive, then the short term broke down again, and the short term went in sync with the long term, led to more of a sell-off. Now we're getting the same kind of scenario again, so the real question is it going to, you know, is this deja vu? Is this going to play out just like it did previous again? You never know for sure. And, you know, you got the short-term trend that's breaking down. It's in line with the long-term trend, but you just don't know. I mean, right now, you know, you could have gone, you know, with puts or something in here, and you'd still be okay, although it's kind of been consolidating sideways the last 5-6 days. It did not break down with the strength that it did back in early March. So we'll see whether or not this continues to follow through the downside. Right now, it's riding down below the 10, so it looks like it wants to. All right, let's take a look at Goldcorp. All right, so the thing that jumped out at me on Goldcorp is gold is jumping and rallying, but Goldcorp doesn't look like it's done it yet, and it's not acting super bullish in here. So I'm a little skeptical about this. I mean, it's got some resistance points that have come in, you know, right in across the top in here. So it's got some work to do to turn positive. All the moving averages are aligned to the negatively, but they could be starting to turn. So this could be building a little bit of momentum to turn up. It's not nearly as positive as, say, Newmont Mining. Let's take a look at that real quick. Newmont is a little more bullish. And when I look, here's the low point on Newmont here. And it looks like 5 waves. 1, 2, quick pull back on 2, 3, 4, kind of a flat 4 in here, and then a 5th wave. So this looks like a first like intermediate wave up. So now the real question is this 2 or is this A, B, C of 2s? The reason I say that is I started to get really, really bullish on this and thinking, wow, it's going to break out. Got a little swing move, going to go. Then I started looking at the indicators and I'm seeing bearish divergence. I'm seeing bearish divergence on all 3. So this is giving me pause. All right, so it kind of makes me think, is this an A, B, and we still got more of a wave 2 correction to happen. Now, from a longer term perspective, I mean, clearly, you know what happened is I need to go back to, no, it's got it on here. I don't know why it did that. Let me rescale. There we go. Okay, the longer term trend line has been broken, this downward trend line. So, you know, it's been broken, pulls back to it, and now it's rallying. So short term, I'm thinking we might be in for a little bit of pullback based on the indicators, and then it'll set up to go again if it, you know, gold's going to do what I think it's going to do. All right, so let's take a look at Freeport-McMoran, and Freeport is looking, you know, like it's acting bullish in here too. And I need to take a hard look on this to see whether or not this is a trade idea I want to jump into or not. But right now, this, you know, looks like a little bit of like, here's a minor wave 1, 2, and working some kind of 3, like 1, 2, 1, 2, you know, working a wave 3 up. It just looks and acts like it wants to do that. Now, it ran into some resistance right in here. But again, right now, it looks like it wants to turn and go higher. Coming off this symmetrical triangle also. So this is starting to get a little interesting, and I didn't look at the indicators real strong in here. No See, I'm not getting any divergence or anything on the move, so it kind of reinforces that the move is looking fairly solid. So long-term trend is still down, but we'll see. It's right now the short-term and intermediate are tracking and pushing higher. So Freeport, I think, bears another look. And then the last one to take a look at today is Sliver Wheaton. Silver's trying to make a move too in here with gold. I think that the wave count, now this one isn't going as vertical as gold, isn't pushing as hard as GLD is, or looking nearly as strong as like Newmont Mining is. So I'm not quite sure. I think this is the wave count. When I look at this, it's very similar to what was happening on GLD. This was a complex, very nasty kind of overlapping complex corrective wave 2 in here, okay? And we had 5 waves down, and then we got the strong wave 3. Then again, this triangular type action in here for a wave 4, similar to GLD, and then we got this 5-wave, nice little 5-wave, 5th wave down for an A. So I'm taking the same wave count as I've got on GLD, and it's acting the same way. So this is going to be interesting. Now I know this is Sliver Wheaton, but in terms of the way this is playing out, it kind of looks like the way GLD is playing out. So if that's the case, I'm expecting Sliver Wheaton to continue to push higher in here. And so I'll be looking for, it would have been a nice little setup actually to have gone long right around in here, like a close on this day. Would have been a nice place to have gone long short term. So we'll see whether and how we continue the price action that continues to develop in here. So, all right, that's it for today, for the weekend. And I'll be back tomorrow with trade ideas. We'll review the trade ideas that we're in, see where we stand on those, and see if there's anything new for the coming week. So again, if you're watching this video anywhere besides my website at joehenches.net, then head on over there. We've got the posts there. We've got other things for you. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It's very easy to do. It allows you to download the free PDF I've got for you, the 5 Essentials, and gives you access to the Trade Ideas webpage. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.